How you going, guys? So welcome back to Marko Outlaw Kustoms. Doing something a little bit different in this video. Doing a little bit of maintenance work and trying to see if we can sort a couple of issues on this 2008 Ford Mondeo 2 litre turbo diesel. So I've got to change the oil, which is going to be, this will be interesting to see how it goes. So this is what I'm putting in it this round. Last time I put in the same brand, but a different, slightly different viscosity. Apparently they must have done it's slightly different. So this is a 530, that's a 030. So we'll see. That's apparently what they recommend. Dad runs, and his one and all his other Euro diesels. I think he's running this. One, which is a Penrite, which is an Australian brand 5W30. I think he's running this one. There is another variation of this too, which is a little bit more like that C2 stuff. I think he could be running that, and I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, I haven't run that particular formulation in there. So I'm going to try that, put another filter in it. But the biggest problem with this thing at the moment is, apart from needing new tyres, is we put a power steering rack in this quite a while ago. This has done 329 and a bit thousand Ks, which is about a bit over 200,000 miles. So we put a rack in it a while ago. Dad put a rack in it for me, so I just didn't have time to do it. Because the old one was failing. It was getting really notchy. It was with half ply lockup. You go to turn and it would go, and then let go. Apparently that's the valves. Must be like ball valves or some sort of valving in the rack itself where the fluid goes in to push it left and right. And apparently over time they disintegrate and fall apart. So we put another low mileage rack in it, because a new rack's like a bit over $1,000 here in New Zealand, where the second-hand rack was like $150. So you can put a few racks in there for $150. But apparently, because that other rack was failing, we cleaned the reservoir out and put fresh fluid in it and all that sort of stuff. But once this has done a few Ks and got warm, it's almost like the pump's starving for fluid. And apparently what happens is, I don't know whether this is the exact problem, but it's the cheapest fix at this point. So this is a new reservoir, and it's got two built-in inline filters in it. So apparently these filters get blocked. You can see the orange one in there, and there's another one, it looks like, in the guts of it, but not the orange piece, but the other piece there. It looks like it's a filter too. That comes up from obviously the inlet and outlet. Apparently they block up and starve the pump of oil when it, obviously it's fine when it first starts up, when you start driving it around for a while, but obviously slowly ends up with not enough fluid going back through to the pump, and then it gets hard to steer. So I'm going to change that as well while I'm doing the oil change, and see if that solves my problem, because a new power steering pump, if I went and got a new one, again, is $1,000. So I have priced up a second-hand one off a low mileage car, and they're, again, a couple of $150 sort of type thing. So if I have to go that route, I will, but I thought we would at least try a new reservoir with the new filters in it, because you can't buy the filters that's built in, typical, but you will put the new reservoir with the new filters in it, because it was about $150. here in New Zealand, so yeah, it's worth a try. So I'm going to change oil, we'll change that over. I've got some more fluid and stuff in the back, and we'll see if that solves their problem. So I'll come back to you, I'll change the oil, and we'll start playing with that, and I'll come back to you. Right, so all's changed. So now this here reservoir, let's say to this bracket here, and we're going to undo those two hoses off the bottom of it. Focus, phone, focus. So you can undo those two hoses and see how we get on. And hopefully this isn't knackered, if you know what I mean. Hopefully not, but we'll find out, I guess. So yeah, so obviously that's the main feed and that's the return. So anyway, I'll see if I can get that off and we'll come back to you. Right, so I got the reservoir off. It was actually easier to take, undo the nut at the pump and take it off that way. Just a little squeezy clip underneath here, and yeah, obviously just take this hose off, fit another one. I'm not entirely sure it's a reservoir problem. Just, I don't know, the fluid doesn't look, it was all changed and flushed and everything when we put that new rack in, but maybe the pump's going too, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that, we'll find out when we run it, but find out when we run it. So it's got no filter in it at all. At all. Interesting. So that wouldn't have helped. It's very, it's almost metallic-y. Oh, it feels clean enough, like it doesn't. Yeah, I won't put that shit back in it. Hopefully there's enough in there to top up the filler of the reservoir. So yeah, there's no filter in that one, which is interesting. Interesting. So anyway, that goes back on there. Yeah, like that. So we'll throw that back on, put it on, fill it up and take it for a test run, I guess. So it's not too difficult to change. So yeah, I undid that line off here just to get a wee bit easier access, if you know what I mean. That hose there, if you can see, you might not be able to, but just clips back on the bottom. So we'll just push back on there, does it? So I've worked on quite a bit of modern stuff, but not so much like mid to late 2000 stuff where they started using a lot of like the clips and stuff like that, you know. A lot of 90s stuff. There we go, it's all properly. A lot of the 90s stuff and shit like that I've worked on heaps. But getting into the mid to late, you know, 2000s and 20s and teens and shit like that, I haven't done so much, if you know what I mean. bits and pieces. You know, car's a car, fucking end of the day. It's just the technology sometimes in them. Yeah, just pushes back on. 12mm spanner. There. Again, you don't need to frickin' wail on this stuff, just push it till it snugs up and just give it a little bit extra, you know, just make sure you get that little creak noise. Should be good to go there. There's no fucking hole in this bottle. So this is the, again, this is Penrite. This is the fluid put in. Sorry, the frickin' top of the label's a bit missing, but it's that fully synthetic PSD fluid. So we'll tip that in there. She's green stuff. Top that up to the wherever, and we'll give it a wee run, and then it'll probably drop down a little bit. See where we're at. Hopefully those filters in there and whatever, mate. Hopefully we're not starving for oil and we don't have any issues. We'll just crank her up and whether we can sit you. Doesn't really matter. I'm running out of battery power. Fine. Ideally you should have the front wheels up, but it's not a completely drained system, so. Sounds a little noisy. I'll take it for a run, we'll see what it does. Might quieten down after it's been around the block. Get the fluid pumped around through it a bit more. It's dropped down, it's sort of just below the full mark, so we'll give it a wee run and just see what happens. I think. So I'll reset the computer for the service. And I'll take it for a run and we'll see what the diagnosis is and see if it's quieting down here. Otherwise we might be looking at a pump in this fucking thing. And if we do the pump, I'll completely flush the system again. Bloody thing. Now, I won't put the engine cover back on in the meantime. I'll just take it for a squirt and make sure she's right. Righty, I think I'm getting I have to order a pump. I thought maybe, you know, that the reservoir with the new filters in it might have solved the problem. But I don't think so. I've jacked it up and I've run it from lock to lock with no weight on the wheels, or basically no weight on the wheels. And time will tell how if whether it gets hard to steer, but yeah, I think I'll just get online and order a low mileage second-hand pump, because I'm not spending $1,000 on a new one. Not when the car's probably only worth a couple of grand anyway, a couple of $3 grand tops, if you know what I mean, with a good clean up and whatever. So yeah, we'll leave that for another day. So when I get another pump, I'll get a couple of containers there to oil, and I've kept the old reservoir over there. So what I'll do is I'll flush that one out. We'll give it a bloody good rinse out with some brake clean and whatever else, and try and make sure those filters are clean. and I'll fill it up with fresh fluid. I'll fill the old one up, and I'll let the old one pump back into the, I'll let the old fluid pump back into the old reservoir. We'll just keep topping it up and drain the other one out, if you know what I mean, so we can get the fresh fluid to pump back through the system until we get all clean fluid come back into the old reservoir, and then we can hook it all up and make sure it's right, if you know what I mean, and hopefully we don't have any more issues. Just a matter of trying it, running around for a couple of days just to see, but it's definitely fucking noisy, so yeah, I thought it might have been just starving. You know, I thought maybe the filters were blocked. It was, you know, it was alright when it was cold, but it was starving. Once I'd done a few Ks, you know, it slowly got less and less and less oil back into the pump, but I don't think that's the case. Anyway, I was worth a try. You know, even if I do the reservoir and a second-hand pump, even if it's $200, it's still better than $1,000 for a new one. So yeah, I've already put a rack in it, so we might as well do the whole fucking lot. So thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Yeah, and we'll give you an update when we do the pump. Cheers guys, thanks.
Welcome to Iron Outlaws. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this.